Welcome to Deep Thought. Think your way out of a situation. Now, this is very important. Like, one of the things, like, Deep Thought isn't a religious channel, and it's not a metaphysic channel. Yes, I might touch on some religions, though I respect all paths. And definitely I touch on some metaphysics, and sometimes I do a lot of stream of consciousness. But the thing about deep thought is the key word in there, thinking deeply. Thought. Thought is important. For those who are familiar with the Hermetics, the main thing is everything is thought. All is mental. Now, think your way out of a situation. Regardless of what situation you get in, there's a way out of it. For anything that's other than an act of deity, an act of God, like a tornado, you can think your way out of it. And even then, you can respond to that tornado coming by thinking. You might have to, you have a nice house. You might have to batten down some things, put some things away. Depending on the house, you might have a storm cellar or something like that. Or it might be so terrible or something coming, you might have to leave. You might have to get your family or whatever you got and leave out, Or like, I remember in the Baltimore area, there was an earthquake years ago, which I didn't feel. For some reason, because I was at a job and I was in a location on the job where I didn't feel a thing. Like I came out, it came out of a storage room, and people were like, "You feel that earthquake?" I was like, "No." But even then, it's like, okay, how would you respond? Like in an earthquake, it's said if you feel an earthquake, get like under like a doorway or something, because it's a stronger place, right? But whatever the case, whatever you do, you want to think about it, no matter what. Like a lot of times, things happen to people. Like most of the situation that happen to people is something caused by another human being. It's a situation caused by someone's actions, right? Someone's ideas or your response to something that you might not have thought about first, but then you're in this situation. The key thing is to think. You can't get upset and try to like, oh, I'm in this situation and cry or wait for somebody else to get you out of the situation. Ultimately, you have to calm down and think. It's like, okay, stop, think. In fact, you might have seen that. I've seen that on like several TV shows, especially action shows, the heroes in trouble. And they think, okay, we're in a situation. Okay, stop. Think about it. And that's very important. Understand something. Every like when I've talked about the house of the man and the house of the woman, both have a faculty within both that is thinking. Both. Within the man is the ego. That's that logical, rational thing. And the woman, there's a slightly different, but they can see women who have the seated hawk capacity. They see the end result of something, but that's still a matter of thought. And women who have that tend to be a little bit more rational and more on the thinking side of things. So, but every single woman has that. Every single man has the ego in them. The question is whether it's suppressed or not. But it's still there within. And that's key. When people go through life, they need to be thinking. Now, it's tough. It's tough because a lot of what we do, and even myself, to reiterate, I'm not a guru. So a lot of the stuff I see, I go through it because there's times I'll drive someplace and I'm like, I'm on automatic. See, because we're not in the moment. We either thinking about the past or thinking about the future, but we're not in the exact moment. And we do a lot of stuff by instinct. But see, instinct can be informed by how you think, because you can think about a new pattern. Like you can create everything from thought. Everything from thought. Like, you can create a new habit if you consciously think about what you're doing. If you consciously think, okay, I need to check this, I need to do this before I do anything else, then it becomes a habit. But the thought started with, you thought about you're doing this, you're checking on this. So getting back to the situation, regardless of what you do, this is how you get out of it. First of all, you in the situation. However you got there, you're there. Right? It could have been a mistake. It could have been you weren't paying attention. It could be somebody did something deliberate. Okay, it's like, okay, I got to think about this. All right, sit back. In fact, elders, they wouldn't just think. They would sleep on something. They would rest. And I'm going to get it kind of into that idea in the next podcast. Hold on, let me write that down. Okay, so that'll be my next one, relaxing before taking action. But in this case, you sitting down and you just sit down and you're thinking, let me think about this. All right, you got something. All right, first of all, you stop. You say, okay, I'm gonna do this logically. I'm gonna do this rational. I'm gonna put emotion to the side. And that's a tough thing to do, because sometimes you want to react emotionally, but you sit down and think, oh, wait a minute, I don't have to do it that way. Like in life, I've done a lot of stuff. First the emotion is like, jump on it, rah, rah, hit them or run or something. But then, and it'd be some like negative situation. But then when I sat down and I thought about it, I say, oh, wait a minute, I can turn this to my advantage. And I've done that a lot of times. I've turned some negative things where somebody's trying to get over to me to an advantage to myself. And they don't even realize it at first that, Rom's doing a Kaiser Soze on them. So I was like, okay. But you sit down first and then you look at all the options. It's like, okay, what's this situation? You look at all the options. That's why it's important to have. That's why you use good information, because then that gives you more options. You know what you can do in a particular situation. So you sit down and say, oh, okay, I can do this. Then you take action. The thought always precedes the action. It's like, okay, this is what the thought is. I can do this. I'm going to tell you what. Situations I got into where I responded with emotion, it was 50-50 whether or not I would win. 50-50. Situations I got into, but I sat down and thought about it, virtually 100%. In fact, I would have to sit down, and I probably had to take a few days to think about a situation where I approached it with calm, logical thought and didn't win out. I have to really think about it. Like, was there a time I lost? But I'll just say the majority of the time, 99.9% of the time, when I sat down and thought something through, won. And I think other people could probably have stories like that too, when they were just nice and calm, and then they got out of the situation and it worked out for them perfectly. And it could be anything. You could be on a situation where you need a job. You need money. Now, some people, they'll pray and all of that, or they get emotional, and think they can have somebody feel sorry, or somebody can sit down and say, okay, I need a job. All right, what can I do? Okay, let me start looking at this thing. Let me start going out. Because I remember one time I needed a job. I didn't see anything in the newspapers, and this online, even online, I couldn't find anything. So I said, okay, let me stop. Let me think about it. Okay, let me go out. I went to some malls. I went past some stuff. I remember, and this was when I got two jobs. One was a job at a mall. I just went through, and I saw a help wanted sign in a place. Got the job. And then another, I still needed more because they were only offering part-time. I got a job at this gym. And they weren't offering anything, but I saw the manager say, hey, are you looking for anybody? Boom. But the thought that preceded those great responses was, I need a job. I have to go out here and get it. That was a thought. That wasn't any emotion. There was no fear. It was like, this is how you approach it. So always, for everything, any problems, any issues, stop and think. And you got to think about everything. Think about, okay, what got you in this situation? But whatever the thing, everything, even some stuff caused by forces greater than you, greater than a human, it can be solved with thought. So that's all I have for today. I'll get back with y'all later. Peace and many blessings.